So welcome everyone to this presentation entitled Overcoming Your Insomnia. I'm Dr. Trish Murray, physician, best-selling author, and the Health Catalyst speaker. So what is insomnia? Well, according to the American Sleep Association, quote, insomnia refers to trouble falling or staying asleep. It can affect someone for a short time, such as a few nights or weeks, and in other cases, insomnia is chronic and can last for months or years. The Sleep Management Institute states that an estimated 30 to 50% of the general population is affected by insomnia, and 10%, that's 1 in every 10 people, have chronic insomnia. But how much sleep should we be getting? Sleep is a vital indicator of a person's overall health and well-being. We spend up to 1/3 of our lives asleep, and the overall state of our sleep health remains an essential question throughout our lifespan. Most of us know that getting a good night's sleep is extremely important, but too few of us actually make those 8 or so hours between the sheets a priority. For many of us with sleep debt, we've forgotten what being truly and really rested feels like. On average, according to the Natural Sleep Foundation, this is what a recommended sleep average looks like by age. So first of all, we're born and we're newborns for the first 3 months of our life. And a newborn should be sleeping between 14 and 17 hours per day. An infant from 4 to 11 months old should be sleeping between 12 and 15 hours. A toddler, 1 to 2 years old, sleeps 11 to 14 hours. Preschoolers, 3 to 5-year-olds, should be sleeping between 10 and 13 hours. School-age children from 6 to 13 years old should be sleeping between 9 and 11 hours. If you're noticing this trend, the older we get, the less sleep we actually require or need. But anywhere from a teenager, well, let's do teenagers. Teenagers from 14 to 17 years old should be getting between 8 and 10 hours of sleep. That's why your teenage kids are, sleeping till noon, if you will, if they're staying up really late. Now, younger adults and true adults, if you will, they break it down from 18 years old to 64 years old. We need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. But once we get older than 65, we don't tend to sleep as much or as well, but we still require between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. So ask yourself, and you might even want to write it down so you're seeing it, how much sleep are you getting on a regular and consistent basis? How many hours would you estimate you're getting? Even write it down for yourself so you see it, so that if it's a problem, then you're going to be even more focused with the things we're going to talk about next. So not many of us are meeting the mark for recommended sleep based on our age. And so many of us might be feeling the negative effects of lack of sleep during our waking hours. The Sleep Management Institute lists the following as some of the negative side effects to sleep deprivation. First, poor concentration and focus, or of course, what we call brain fog. Another is difficulty with memory, which can be a huge contributor to cognitive decline as we age. Next, impaired motor coordination, such as being out of balance or uncoordinated, which could lead to more motor vehicle accidents because someone is fatigued or sleep deprived as a driver. Irritability and impaired social interaction. You have short temper and you have a short fuse and you get frustrated and upset a lot. Also, there's a higher incidence of chronic medical conditions, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and migraine headaches are just a few examples of chronic medical conditions that might be caused by sleep deprivation. Now, knowing the consequences, you may now be asking what can be done about insomnia. Next, we will look at some of the natural and effective ways to get the sleep you are seeking. So of course, you're not going to listen to a functional medicine doctor speak on anything and not have us talk about diet. Now, Dr. Axe, who's a pretty well-known national naturopathic doctor and a nutritionist, believes that diet is crucial when it comes to sleep deprivation. And he argues that consuming sugars and carbohydrates before bed can increase the body's temperature to burn those sugars off, which is disruptive to sleep. He advises limiting carbohydrate-rich foods several hours before bed for optimal sleep. How many people are guilty of having, a bowl of ice cream or dessert that's sweet, that's high in carbohydrates on a regular basis after dinner? That's something you're going to want to consider not doing. Now, a diet promoted for optimizing cognitive function by Dr. Dale Bredesen, who wrote, or he runs or has created what's called the RECODE program in order to reverse cognitive decline, has created a diet that he calls the Keto Flex 12-3 diet. So that's again the Keto Flex 12-3 diet. This diet by name is a ketogenic diet. So it's like very low in carbohydrates. But the numbers 12-3 is what I want to go over with you tonight in relation to sleep, because the 12 refers to the number of hours that you're going to want to fast between the time you eat your supper in the evening and breakfast the next morning. We should be fasting at least that long. It could be anywhere from 12 to 15 hours, but this diet promotes 12. Now, what does the 3 represent? The 3 refers to at least 3 hours of no food intake between eating your supper in the evening and the time you go to bed. You see, that is an important piece to optimize sleep. Now, if you really need to eat something later in the evening, then focus on healthy fats like avocado or sugar-free yogurt. These are great choices for a late night eating because they are high in relaxation-inducing nutrients, such as magnesium and potassium. Now, there are also some great beverages that can provide these helpful nutrients of magnesium and potassium. And now, usually we post things the day after these webinars with links so you can do further individual research on your own and find some of these recipes and things. But I love doing these webinars because I learned something new for just about every single one of them as well. And one thing I read about that is amazing is called banana peel tea. And yup, I did say the peel. I said banana peel tea. And the banana peels are extremely rich in magnesium and potassium. So what I've learned you do is you need to first of all buy organic bananas, because regular bananas are going to have a lot of pesticide on the peel. and you don't want to be drinking tea full of pesticides. So you do need to buy organic bananas if you're going to try this. So you would get an organic banana, of course, and you're going to cut the ends off, and then you're going to peel the banana, and you're going to put the banana peel in a pot with, let's say, 1.5 cups of water or something. Just take, what I did was I took my coffee cup, filled it with water, poured it in the pot, and then put my banana peel in there. And you're going to bring it to a boil, and then you're going to turn it down to a simmer for about 10 minutes. You also can add a dash of cinnamon. And when the beverage is done, you're going to pour off, of course, the liquid into your cup with the cinnamon in it. And then you could even add a little bit of vanilla. And it is amazing to drink. And I have already noticed that it really helped me start to feel tired in the evening and initiate that process of getting ready for bed. The other thing I'll throw out, of course, is another benefit of magnesium is that it will help with bowels. So if you're anyone that suffers with constipation, magnesium is something that can help you improve your bowel habits. So, wow, who knew that banana peels were amazing like that? So there's something you could try. Now, another natural sleep drink I read about in preparation for this presentation was something called pink moon milk. What the heck is that? Well, you take, let's say, now I would take almond milk because I don't do dairy, but you would take almond milk and add a tart, unsweetened cherry juice to it. So you notice, of course, that's going to make a pink color. And if you warm this up, it is the thing about tart cherry juice is that it is a natural source of melatonin. And so it's going to start that initiating process of the sleep cycle. Now, there are others that I read about in preparation for tonight. Chamomile lavender latte, for example, and another one called turmeric golden milk. And we will be posting these with the links to read more about the recipes tomorrow in our Discover Health Facebook group. Now, if you're not familiar with that or you're not already a member, go and you do go to Facebook, then go to Facebook and go to our Discover Health Functional Medicine Center Facebook page, and then simply request to join our closed Facebook group that you need to request to join. And once you're a member, you're in, and you're going to get all the resources that I, every single webinar, the day after we post all the resources that I use to put the webinar together. We also have a community there where you can ask questions, and health coach Trish shares information all week long, and every week she also does a coach's corner. So don't miss out on being part of this amazing community, and go to our Discover Health Facebook and join our Discover Health Facebook group. Now, when looking to make changes for better sleep, it is also important that we assess what may affect our sleep quality and cause restlessness. And here is a list from Medical Daily Online of some things to avoid before bed for the best chance at a good night's rest. And this list includes spicy foods, greasy foods such as fast foods, meats and cheeses. You see, meats and cheese, folks, have a very high protein count, and protein is not good before sleep. Caffeine, of course, is not good after 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the least. Another big one that's going to disrupt sleep, folks, is alcohol. Alcohol disrupts your natural sleep cycle. And if you are having trouble sleeping, then you really need to consider abstaining completely from alcohol so that you can see if that's the trouble of causing your insomnia. Some others are nicotine. Dark chocolate is high in a stimulant. It's not the exact same thing as caffeine, but it still is a stimulant. And of course, as we said earlier, sugars and carbohydrates. Now, a routine is an essential element when considering a healthy sleep pattern. Setting and following a sleep schedule can help increase the likelihood of falling asleep and staying asleep. The National Sleep Organization recommends setting a consistent bedtime and a consistent wake-up time. Now, if you are a night owl and you can't seem to get to bed too early enough, the suggestion is not to try and change your bedtime drastically, but instead to slowly subtract 15 minutes a night to your regular sleep time until you reach your bedtime goal. Now, as for getting up, hands off that snooze button. It's important to rise at the same time each day without the fallback of the alarm. The idea here is that you get used to the wake-up time without interruption. So it's extremely important to set a routine if you want to heal your insomnia and sleep better. Now, the Natural Sleep Foundation lists exercise as a way to combat insomnia. They explain that exercise triggers an increase in body temperature, and the post-exercise drop in temperature is what promotes falling asleep. Exercise may also reduce insomnia because it decreases arousal, it decreases anxiety, and it decreases depressive symptoms. Insomnia is commonly linked with elevated arousal, anxiety, and depression, and exercise has strong effects on reducing these symptoms in the general population. Exercises related to better sleep include multiple different kinds: aerobic exercise, strength training, or things like yoga or other quieting movements. Participating in a regular schedule of exercise can make it a habit. So again, creating a habit is extremely important, and a routine so that it helps you with your energy levels and prepares you for sleep on a regular basis. Now, this is one reason why we have created Discover Health Movement Membership. This is a program that gives people access to regular movement exercise to promote flexibility, strength, balance, cognitive function, and better sleep. Our Discover Health Movement membership provides 3 classes per week. They're all online. The classes are called Discover Yoga. The next class is called Self-Myofascial Release, and the third class is called Movement for Longevity. Now, to learn more about this amazing exercise program, all you need to do is go to our website, discoverhealthfmc.com, and add /# movement. So again, that's discoverhealthfmc.com / movement. And it'll bring you right to the program. And try incorporating these activities well before bedtime for the best results. You see, a good rule of thumb is not to eat or do vigorous exercise within 3 hours of sleep time. Now, stress is one of the leading causes of insomnia. In turn, by reducing stress, adequate sleep is possible. And one way to reduce stress is being mindful of your breath. Slow, deep breathing actually helps the body override your sympathetic nervous system, which controls our fight or flight responses, and lets your parasympathetic nervous system, which controls our ability to relax, take the wheel instead. Now, when you practice deep breathing while in bed, You're giving the body permission to quit being on high alert and instead to relax. With this in mind, let's take a look at some recommended exercises for mindful breathing for stress reduction. So I'm going to take you through a few of these exercises of deep breathing. They're a little different from each other. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. And I want you to consider some of these breathing exercises for stress reduction and to improve your sleep. So the first one is called pursed lip breathing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep breath in. I'll tell you what we're going to do first, and then we'll try it together. So first of all, we're going to take a deep breath in for a count of 4. Then you're going to sort of purse or pucker your lips, and you're going to exhale for a longer time in a count of 6. And we're going to do this for a couple of rounds. So if you're ready with me, let's all take a deep breath in. So take a deep breath in, 2, 3, 4. And now you're going to exhale with pursed lips for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now take a deep breath in, 2, 3, and 4. And then exhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then inhale one more time for a count of 2, 3, and 4. And then exhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Now, one thing you want to realize is that inhalation, when we inhale, that is something that happens and enhances our sympathetic nervous system, again, which is your fight or flight nervous system. And when we exhale, that is more of a passive relaxation activity that enhances our parasympathetic relaxation nervous system. So that's why with many of these breathing techniques, you want to inhale for a shorter amount of time than you are exhaling. Now, the next one is called diaphragmatic breathing, because of course our diaphragm is a huge part of our breathing. It's a large muscle that goes and separates your thorax from your abdomen. So with this one, put one hand on your chest and the other on your belly button, let's say. Now, what we're going to do is focus on belly breathing. So as you breathe in deeply for about 4 seconds, you want to expand the hand that's on your belly button, your belly, as much as you can, definitively. And don't force it, just let it expand. And then feel the air expanding your stomach and your belly. And then you're going to breathe out slowly through your lips. Again, we'll do a count of 4 in and a count of 6 out. So let's try this. So put one hand on your chest and the other on your belly button. And now breathe in for a count of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you should feel that hand on your belly get expanded. And now exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then inhale again and feel the hand on your belly button rise, 3, or come out, 4. And then exhale and feel that hand go back in, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And do that again. So breathe in for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that is more, when you expand your belly, and you get that belly kind of coming out on the inhalation and then coming back in on the exhalation, you're emphasizing the movement of your diaphragm. Let's try one other one. There's one they're calling in this called yoga breathing, but it's really alternate nostril breathing. So what you're going to do is place your right thumb over your right nostril. And you're going to breathe first through the left nostril. And so let's do that. So put your thumb over your right nostril and close that nostril. And now take a deep breath as a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 through your left nostril. Now take your index finger and close the left nostril. Let the right nostril open and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now keep your index finger on your left nostril and inhale through your right nostril for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then close with your thumb your right nostril and exhale through your left nostril for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Use your index finger and close your left nostril and then breathe in through the nostril that's open. And then close the nostril and then exhale through the opposite. So you're constantly breathing in one side and then exhaling and then closing the other nostril. So you're switching sides throughout, and that's called alternate nostril breathing, or they're calling it here in the script I'm having is yoga breathing. So all of these are options. You can also, one other one is you can play with your count. You can inhale for a certain count, let's say 4. You can then also hold your breath for a count of 7, and then exhale, let's say, for a count of 8. Or you can do the numbers that feel comfortable to you. Let's say you breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 5, and exhale for a count of 6. But the point of this, folks, is to introduce you, if you're not already familiar with it, the fact that there are such a variety of deep breathing exercises that you could be doing on a regular basis every single evening in your preparation for sleep. And they only take a few minutes to do. Now, meditation is a great way to work on breath and to focus on the centering of the body, which also helps to relieve anxieties and stress. Now, a mantra is a phrase or sounds that are repeated over and over to soothe and relax the mind. You see, the mind is what we need to kind of get in control of and drive, meaning the mind is just going to ruminate and ruminate all it wants to unless we do something and have a practice to train it not to do that and to keep it more focused. So mantras, using phrases, here are some that could be tried. Something like, I am calm and still. Another mantra could be, I welcome sleep into my being. Another mantra could be longer and be something like, I am breathing deeply and calmly, becoming more and more relaxed with each breath. Now, for best results, what you would do is pick one statement that you're comfortable with, and it doesn't have to be something somebody gave you or I told you. Make up what you feel works for you. And what you're going to do is repeat one of these mantra statements of your choosing with deep breathing 20 times in a row, or until you begin to feel more relaxed and sleepy. And you can do this just laying in bed. You can also use a sound. Now, one of my favorite sounds in the yoga world is Om. So just like OM, and to just say Om. And you would do that as you take a deep breath in, you would exhale, and on your exhale, you would state and say the sound, such as Om, for your count of 6 or longer. And this will have a similar effect as a mantra. So with any of these activities, you are again giving your mind a practice to focus on, to quiet the rumination and allowing your rest, digest, and relaxation nervous system to come on board. Now, our cell phones, tablets, computers, and other electronic gadgets have become such a huge part of our daily lives that it's often hard to put them down, even at bedtime. And keeping your phone on your nightstand may not seem like a big deal, but folks, technology affects your sleep in more ways than you will ever realize. Whether you're surfing the web, playing a video game, or using your phone as an alarm clock, you're probably keeping yourself from a restful night. The National Sleep Foundation warns gadget users of the ill effects of late night phone, computer, and tablet use on sleep. The blue light from these gadgets suppresses your natural occurring melatonin, which is a hormone responsible for regulating your sleep cycle. Gadgets also keep the brain more alert, and they're not something we want when we're trying to get to sleep. Now, folks, again, melatonin is a hormone. It is not a sleeping aid, meaning it's not a sleeping pill. I've had so many patients when I talk to them and ask them if they have insomnia, and I ask them if they've ever tried melatonin, they say to me, yeah, but it didn't work. And in my mind, that means that they were thinking it's like a sleeping pill, and if it's not causing them to fall asleep or stay asleep, then it's not working. Well, I will tell you that melatonin is a hormone that will initiate the sleep cycle, and taking it as a supplement can be of benefit. But the bottom line is, if cortisol, our stress hormone, is too high, melatonin can help balance it better. And melatonin can initiate better our sleep cycle, but it is really not meant to be taken as like a sleeping pill. Now, the solution to gadgets is limit the computer or the technology use limit that gadget use in bed or close to bedtime. And a good rule of thumb is, again, stopping all screen time at least 1 hour before bedtime. Now, for some people, noise actually is necessary for falling asleep, which is why many people turn to watching TV in the bedroom. But folks, that is not a good idea, because first of all, it's got the blue light and it's going to cause you to be more alert. You really do not, good hygiene for sleep is you do not want a television in your bedroom. But a proper noise machine is a great alternative to the distraction of TV and is a more soothing way to help possibly lead you into sleep. So there are many options to include sleep-inducing sounds such as white noise, ocean waves, waterfalls, rainforests, and rivers. And again, we will post a link to a sample of a noise machine at work, providing relaxing white noise tomorrow in our Discover Health Facebook group. And again, if you are not already a member of our Discover Health Facebook group, be sure to join, as we always post all the resources there after each of these monthly webinars. And it is a great place to interact with like-minded people sharing how to improve their health. Now, the North American essential oil and aromatherapy experts state that their website, they state on their website that, quote, essential oils can act by triggering the central nervous system and circulatory system to promote sleep in the body. They list several natural sleep aids on their website, and here are a few. Lavender oil is a natural sedative with anti-stress and anti-anxiety properties. Another one to try is cedarwood oil. Cedarwood oil is a natural sedative that decreases heart rate and has a soothing quality. Chamomile oil is a natural sedative as well with anti-stress properties. Now, there are several ways to incorporate or utilize essential oils into your nighttime routine. So let's talk about some of these options. So here are some tips from the North American essential oil and aromatherapy experts on how to incorporate essential oils into your nighttime routine for better sleep. One of the most common things people do is purchase and use what's called a diffuser. What you're going to do is put water in this gadget that's called a diffuser, and you're going to turn it on, and it's going to diffuse steam, if you will, or it's not hot, but it's going to diffuse like an air moisturizer into the air. And you're going to add a couple, 2 to 4 drops of an essential oil of your choice into that diffuser in your bedroom, let's say, approximately 30 minutes before you go to bed. And it's going to fill the air of your bedroom with the lavender or the chamomile or the cedarwood, for example. Another option is to put the essential oil droplets in your bath. So add 5 to 10 drops of the desired essential oil into a warm running bath water before getting in. And of course, it's going to make the air smell wonderful. And it's also you're going to get some on your skin and possibly absorb some into your body. Another option is to use an air freshener. Mix 1 cup of water with 4 or 5 drops of essential oil and put it in a spray bottle. And then mist with the spray bottle around your bedroom before you go to sleep. Another option, so there's so many ways to do this. Another option is to do a foot massage and to use essential oils on feet for sleep. Add 2 drops of an essential oil to 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil. Whatever type of massage oil you have. You can even use olive oil for that matter. And massage this mixture on the bottom of your feet and all over your feet in a circular motion until fully absorbed. The other thing about your rubbing your feet, folks, is reflexology. If you've ever heard of reflexology, there's many different nerve endings in your feet that correlate through your nervous system to many different organs of the body. And finally, another way to engage with essential oils is called direct inhalation, which is a simple way to enjoy the sedative properties of essential oils is to inhale the aroma from the bottle itself. Hold the bottle a couple inches away from your nose and just take a couple of deep breaths. Practice the deep breathing and hold that essential oil bottle 2 to 3 inches away from your nose, and you're getting the oils and the scents and the aroma of the oils in order to initiate the response. Now, not only are teas a nice soothing drink, but some herbs in herbal teas are also used to combat insomnia. Some of the best herbal teas to optimize sleep include, of course, some of the things we just read about or talked about with the essential oils, chamomile and lavender, for example. But a couple others to note is one called valerian root. Valerian root is known to increase GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that boosts sleep. And another herb that can boost GABA is passion flower. So passion flower and valerian root are known as herbs that can increase GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that boosts sleep. Now, a warm bath or a foot soak before bed is another effective way to help the body relax into sleep. And an Epsom salts bath with lavender may help because, again, the Epsom salts has magnesium in the salt, which is a natural relaxant, and the lavender is a natural sedative that can put the body at ease. So there's so many ways to use these different herbs. The Institute of Naturopathic Sleep Medicine states that a warm bath before bed is effective because it lifts the body's temperature and then drops it. Sleep is then induced by the sudden drop in your body temperature. So playing with body temperature and the temperature of your room and your home from day to night can be very effective in helping you sleep. Because body temperature plays a role in the amount and the quality of sleep one gets. Room temperature should be considered a contributing factor. A room that is too hot will elevate the body's temperature, causing the body to work to then cool itself, and in turn disrupts your sleep pattern. And the Natural Sleep Foundation claims that an optimal room temperature for the best sleep is approximately 65 degrees. Now, do you keep your room cool for sleeping? And again, it doesn't have to be exactly 65. If that, play with the temperatures and figure out what works best for you. Now, if someone is optimizing most of the sleep hygiene things that I have discussed and still is not sleeping optimally, then CBD oil or bath salts or other products in the CBD world could be tried. Now, I have done a podcast in the past on CBD and what's called the endocannabinoid system. You see, CBD is an endocannabinoid, and we have that system in our body, the endocannabinoid system. You may not have heard of it before, but we all have it in our bodies, and most of us are depleted. And supplementing with CBD oil can help many aspects of one's health, including sleep. It also acts as a sedative and can help with anxiety. There is a link listed on this slide here for this presentation. So that that link will take you to the previous podcast and also the blog on my website. And we will also post it in the chat for you, this link to my previous podcast on CBD oil. Now, we at Discover Health Functional Medicine Center carry products by CBD MD, the company you see in the products on the slides. This company grows its hemp organically here in the United States, and that's extremely important for you to note. If you are taking any type of CBD product, you want to make sure it's not grown in particularly China, because they may be using a lot of pesticides and there's a lot of toxins in the soil. You want them grown in the United States, and you also want to know that it's grown organically. And also, this particular company produces what's called a medical grade level of CBD. Now, another modality I would absolutely not want to miss informing people of to improve sleep and optimize cognitive function and optimizing your overall health. And this modality is called Brainwave Entrainment. Now, the word entrainment means to synchronize two or more rhythmic cycles. And brainwave entrainment is used to synchronize a person's brainwaves with some external stimulus. And one of the most commonly used external stimuli is sound. But vision can also be used, as well as I believe tactile things can be used as well. But the point is, some external stimulus is going to cause your brain waves to synchronize with that external stimulus and to quiet your brain function and your brain waves overall. You see, our brains transmit electricity amongst the vast array of nerves and produce brain waves. And on the slide, you're looking at different speeds or different frequencies of brain waves. And each one of these brainwave speeds or frequencies is, now they're all happening in our brains all the time at the same time. Don't think that we're either in a delta state or a theta state or an alpha state and that's all there is. That's not how it works. We have billions of neurons in our brain. What we want to talk about and think about more is what is the dominant frequency at any given time? And what is the purpose of that dominant frequency? So let's talk about, there are 4 of the most common brainwave frequencies that are occurring all the time, but again, one is dominant. So first of all, let's go from the bottom up here. Delta. Delta waves, and you'll notice the wave, they only show 2 hills here, and delta waves are the slowest frequency, and they're between 1 and 3 hertz. And this wave frequency, or when you are dominant, is associated with deep, dreamless, non-REM sleep. So this is where you're trying to go during parts of the night when you want to be in your deepest form of sleep. The second one up from there, brainwave frequency, the next fastest or the next step up in frequency is called the theta frequency. It's between 4 and 8 hertz. And this frequency or level is the one in which people naturally progress into sleep from, and is associated with creative insight, a feeling of deep connectedness, and cognitive and memory enhancement. So we want to enhance the time we're in theta to improve our brain function and our memory, for example. The next frequency up is called alpha, and it ranges between 9 and 13 hertz. And this frequency is associated with calm levels of mental activity, typically a very peaceful and relaxed state. Kind of if we're doing something very automatic, like walking down the street or walking in the woods or something like that. And also meditation and the breathing techniques we were doing earlier will help you get into an alpha state. And a relaxation practice will help us come into an alpha state on a regular basis. And the final frequency I want to go over is the fastest frequency. And as you see, it's 14 to 30 hertz. And this is the fastest frequency that we live in on a regular basis as a dominant frequency. And again, it's associated with being awake and alert. But for so many of us live all of our waking hours, like every minute of every day, in this frequency as a dominant state. So it also becomes associated with an overactive thinking pattern and increased stress. It can lead to a feeling of anxiety and feelings of frustration. And obviously, if you can't get out of this state and you're always in a dominant state of beta, you are absolutely not going to be able to go to sleep. So if you are not sleeping well, and you've been implementing most of what I discussed previously tonight, then your brain is not able to get into a delta wave cycle well, or even down into a theta wave cycle well, and you are living too much of your life in the beta state. Now, if this is resonating with you, and you feel like you've been doing everything you can to find your way into better sleep, then folks, I implore you to look more into this modality called Brainwave Entrainment as a technology through audio stimulus that can guide your dominant beta wave state to a more desired frequency. And as a result, change your life and your ability to sleep and function. And I can tell you that I've used Brainwave Entrainment for about 4 or 5 years now, and I am a huge proponent of it for my sleep and for stress levels and for cognition. Now, if you want to learn more, one of the best ways to learn more is on my website, in the shop of my website, discoverhealthfmc.com, I have a link to a company called Active Minds Global. So if you go to the shop of my website at discoverhealthfmc.com and you look for Active Minds Global and you click on the link, it will take you to their website. And there they will explain and educate you an enormous amount more than I've even talked about tonight about Brainwave Entrainment and their sound tracks that they have. And they're not overly expensive to buy. And I actually just did a podcast recording yesterday with Maury Zelkovich, who is the owner of Active Minds Global, and he and I talked about Brainwave Entrainment. So if you watch my podcast, upcoming will be also a recording where I'm interviewing the owner of Active Minds Global about Brainwave Entrainment. And again, I have personally used this modality for years now in order to optimize my sleep, reduce my perception of stress, enhance my brain function, and optimize my overall health. And I am a huge proponent of this modality. Now, I've covered a lot here today, and you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed if you're not already familiar with a lot of what I've covered, but you've got this because you deserve a good night's sleep. And I believe that with what we have offered here today, you're going to be well on your way to breaking the cycle of insomnia. So let's just take another moment and summarize a top 10 list for optimal sleep hygiene, because that's a term used within the medical world and out in the world of sleep hygiene. So what are the top 10 things? And it's sort of a summary of the things we've talked about in this presentation. So number 1, establish and stick to a scheduled bedtime routine. Be a creature of habit, as this is awesome for your body's circadian rhythm. Number 2, shut off all screens for a minimum of 30 minutes before bed and optimally 1 hour before bed. Number 3, keep your bedroom cool during the night. 65 degrees Fahrenheit has been research found to be optimal, but everyone is different, and you should experiment to find what is optimal for you. Number 4, no food and no vigorous exercise 3 hours before sleep. 5, eliminate alcohol from your world and watch your sleep improve. Number 6, avoid any form of caffeine past the afternoon. And remember, there are many different sources of caffeine: coffee, tea, soda, chocolate, etc. And instead, try some banana peel tea, for example. 7, put a relaxation practice into place before bed. Do some either plain deep breathing with counting, or use mantras, or just read a book, or of course, take a hot bath. But don't forget to also try some essential oils. Number 8, have a consistent exercise routine in your day. And if you don't already have one or are looking to optimize, go to discoverhealthfmc.com/#movement and join our Discover Health Movement membership today. 9, avoid having any screens in the bedroom as a rule. And finally, number 10, if you implement all of these steps and still are not sleeping optimally, then try some CBD and start using a brainwave entrainment modality to shift your brainwave frequencies so that you can get into the theta and delta and alpha states and out of the alert and anxious beta state. And as usual, as I stated earlier, we will post all of the resources that I used with links so that you can follow those links and learn more. We will post all of them for you in our Discover Health Facebook group tomorrow. So again, if you're not already a member, be sure to join. So thank you so much for attending this event. It means a lot to be able to share with people who are ready to make a difference in their health. Sleep is such an important part of our health that we all need to assess whether it is optimal, and if not, work to improve it, especially as we age, because our sleep is not going to get better as we age if we don't work at it. Now it is time to implement some of the things we discussed. Now, if you're having any troubles, please reach out if you have questions or concerns, because we're here to help. And the best way to communicate with us at Discover Health Functional Medicine Center is to go to our website, discoverhealthfmc.com. And if you are new to us, you can even sign up for a 30-minute consultation. It's free. You can also ask general questions, again, through our Discover Health Facebook group as a member. And another option is just email us at discoverhealthcoaching@gmail.com with any questions. And if technology is not your thing, then just give us a call. And our phone number at the office is 603-447-3112. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I say thank you so much for participating. And I truly hope this has helped and that I've talked about something that you haven't tried yet if you are having issues with insomnia, because your sleep is such a huge part of our overall health. So thanks, everyone.